Before we have a look at the process of photosynthesis, we need to know what the chloroplast looks like and the structure of it, and here is a diagram of the chloroplast. So first things first, this one here is a strand of DNA. The chloroplast isn't a cell, but it does contain its own DNA, same as in mitochondria, where they are both originally their own individual bacteria which got engulfed by the cell in prehistoric ages. As you can see, there are starch grains as well. Photosynthesis is the making of glucose molecules from light energy, and after glucose has been made, they are combined together to make starch and are temporarily stored here. Also, we have ribosomes here, which are all the individual dots you can see all across, and they are there for protein synthesis. Photosynthesis is a very complicated biochemical process which requires lots of enzymes to help mediate the reactions. So ribosomes are really important here to make those enzymes for those processes, and DNA here is coding for these enzymes as well. So now we have a look at the sites of specific stages in photosynthesis, namely the light-dependent stage and the light-independent stage. So as you can see here, there are some structures that are like stacks of discs, and these individual discs are what we call thylakoid. And thylakoid, or specifically the thylakoid membrane, is a site for the light-dependent stage, which is what we call Z scheme as well. So thylakoid can be stacked up in a structure like this, is what we call a granum, or in plural form it would be grana, and they can be connected by these intergranal lamella. And finally, we got stroma, which is the fluid that fills up the space within the chloroplast. It's kind of like the cytoplasm in a cell, but it doesn't do the same thing. And stroma is the site for the light-independent stage, which is the second stage of photosynthesis. We also call this light-independent stage the Calvin cycle, but we'll go into more detail in another video. Now, a little bit more about the thylakoid membrane in terms of the structure. In the Z scheme, it is, like we said, the light-dependent stage. So on the thylakoid membrane, there are actually structures called photosystems, and they are basically structures that absorb the light energy. And we say that there are actually photosystems 1 and 2 in the membrane. And these photosystems are made up of the photosynthetic pigments, which are these structures within these photosystems that absorb the light. We've got the primary pigment and the accessory pigment. And the primary pigment will be the key one that absorbs the sunlight, so it's the main functioning one. We're very familiar with this, which is chlorophyll A. As for accessory pigments, you can have chlorophyll B, xanthophylls, and carotenoids, which are kind of like supplements. They help with the process of absorbing the light energy when chlorophyll A is not really functioning well, but the key one there is the primary pigment chlorophyll A. So a very quick summary, this is the structure of the chloroplast. We got the DNA, which codes for the enzymes needed for the photosynthesis reaction. We've got the ribosomes that actually make them, and starch as an energy storage. Then we got the thylakoid membrane, which contains photosystems, which contains the photosynthetic pigments like chlorophyll to do the light-dependent stage, which is what we call the Z scheme as well. And they can be combined together to form a structure called the granum. And grana are connected by the intergranal lamella. And then after this reaction occurs, the substrates then go into the stroma, where light-independent stage occurs. We also call this stage the Calvin cycle. And in our next video, we'll be thinking about specifically what happens in these two stages.